Hello, hello. Hi, everybody. And you can bring the volume up a little bit. Please remain seated for a second. Yeah, I'm going to get this going. Hi, everybody. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? My name is Alain Barker, and I'm the current president of the Bloomington Rotary Club. Fabulous to see you all here and to see everybody online. Really, really great to see you all. Today is June 6th, 2023. Okay. And what is that? June 6th is the anniversary of D-Day. D-Day, June 6, 1944, the Normandy landings that we all know about, which was the Allied invasion of those beaches, which was called Operation Overlord, codenamed Operation Neptune. It was the largest seaborne invasion in history at that time, which led to the liberation of France, bien sûr, and the foundations of the Allied victory in World War II. Really quite extraordinary in terms of the sacrifice of those who were involved and the courage and the resonances that have led to so many other events through history, including what's going on in Ukraine today. So the Normandy landing. So please rise and join me in pledging allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you to all of you who have participated in sacrificing and giving of yourselves to our country in that way. I also want to say, I want to take a moment also to mention that today, or not today, but June, is Pride Month. Switching gears, very different conversation, and yet something that we too feel very strongly about. And I want to just say two things about it. I want to say how grateful I am that we live in a community that is ranked 4th gayest city in the country by the Advocate magazine, and where, according to Campus Pride, IU Bloomington ranks in the top 50 LGBTQIA+ friendly colleges and universities. We've also been given a perfect 100-point score in the Human Rights Commission's Municipal Equality Index. Congratulations to the city of Bloomington. At the same time, we live in a state where, to put it mildly, we struggle with human rights, where simple acceptance of diverse lives often becomes politically charged. And in 2022, Indiana ranked 39th out of 50 states for women's rights and received the lowest possible grade by the Human Rights Campaign for Basic Equality in LGBTQ+ people. So while we celebrate and honor so much about what we are in society, so much of what the Rotary Club is and Pride Month, and cherish our wonderful community, my hope is that the Rotary Club can involve itself in issues of human rights in our state by offering the 4-way test as a path towards deeper understanding and reconciliation. Okay, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Greer Carson, come and join me at the podium. You have another thing to celebrate here and words about it. So great to have Greer with us. Oh, a guest list, yeah. And by the way, I'm going to mention this later, but Lance, welcome back. Welcome back. Yay, it's great to have you back. And I'm going to mention, I'll mention it later. Wait.
Okay, good to see you all. We have some guests today. We have Keith Williamson, guest of Artie Levy. We have Caleb Poor. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Good to see you. Guest of Tracy Ivanovic. We have Roy Turner, a visiting Rotarian. We have Amy Kendall and Forrest Gilmore, both of Beacon. Welcome to you all. And we have Megan Gerhart, who's involved in the Rotary Global Grant. Welcome, Megan.
You're going to do your reflection? Sure. Yeah.
Are there any guests online?
There are just a group of happy Rotarians online. Thank you.
All right. So Alon reached out to me over the weekend to ask if I might offer this week's reflection. He knew there wasn't a whole lot going on at the library right now. And because he's the compassionate person we all know him to be, I think he was also worried I might be getting bored. So I happily accepted his invitation to share some thoughts with you today. I think everyone here knows that the Monroe County Public Library is about to open its third facility this Friday, June 9th, the Southwest Branch Library at 890 West Gordon Pike. This is an historic moment for our 203-year-old institution. As I reflect on all of the planning, patience, and collaboration behind the significant project, I am overwhelmed by a feeling of being part of something much bigger than myself. I've been struck by that feeling quite a bit lately, both professionally and personally. Just a year ago, I was offered the opportunity to lead our library. Succeeding the likes of Marilyn Wood and Sarah Laughlin is a humbling experience, as they are both such strong leaders who've left big imprints on MCPL and on our community. Following in their footsteps gives me a sense of being part of a continuum, a collective effort on the part of generations of librarians and information professionals, lawmakers and elected officials, and volunteers and area residents to provide a service from Monroe County that would otherwise not exist. Call me biased, but I believe that service is a noble one, indebted to the spirit of enlightenment, yet intimately connected to our modern democratic sensibilities, perhaps to a degree we too often take for granted. In the midst of the current wave of censorship and its apparent disillusion with the principle of intellectual freedom, it is gratifying to be a part of a community that is celebrating the expansion of its library, rather than squabbling over which specific group a public library should represent or whose definition of freedom we should all embrace. There is perhaps no greater commitment we can make to being a part of something bigger than ourselves than parenthood. Like all living things, we are programmed to do it to ensure the preservation and proliferation of the species. This is our greatest and most important collective effort. Oddly enough, it is often born out of self-interest. We say to ourselves, I would be a good parent, so I'm going to start a family. Or I hope my kids inherit my best qualities, which is another way of saying, I think there should be more of me out there in the world. As any parent knows, you quickly shift from a self-centered perspective to a child-centered one, and in my case, it happened sometime within the first hour of my firstborn's life, and thus begins a journey of sacrifice and selflessness that dwarfs all other projects, priorities, and goals, personal or professional. Whatever our individual motivations are for having children, I doubt that any of us can claim to have understood the enormity of such a commitment from the start, nor truly appreciated the role we play as individual parents in this great collective effort. Of course, being a part of something bigger than yourself is not by definition a good thing. Many people are motivated to join political movements and social causes because they are driven by creed, or because they want to be a member of a group, or they want to get in on the ground floor of something historic. But it seems to me that the two most common reasons people have for joining a movement are that they believe they have the answer to a particular problem, or that they're afraid of something and want to protect themselves and their loved ones. In our current socio-political climate, I can't help concluding that so much of what is happening, so much of this frenzied participation in something large and in some cases corrective, is driven by one or both of these two reasons, arrogance and fear. On a personal level, it's actually instructive to follow what's happening in our country today because it forces me to reflect on my own decision-making and to consider whether or not what I do is out of arrogance or fear. Our motto, service above self, carries the hint that one's work is ultimately about others. People's motivations for work, life choices, and personal commitments are varied, and maybe everything does begin out of self-interest, as many great thinkers have suggested. At this moment, as our culture struggles to redefine itself, at a time when parenthood seems larger and more consequential to me than ever before, and on the eve of our community's library opening a new branch, I am reminded that there is very little we ever do just for ourselves.
Thank you, Greer, and thank you for everything that you're doing for our community. This week is going to be such an incredible celebration at the library. I hope that you can all be there with Greer to celebrate that. Okay, birthdays. Jim Bright had a birthday. He's not with us today. He's traveling somewhere in some beautiful place on the West Coast, but it was yesterday, June 5th. And then Chris Michael Morris has a birthday on Saturday, June 10th. So happy birthday to them both. Member anniversaries, Raj Hadawi. Raj, I hope that you're online. Congratulations, you have an accumulation of 5 years, which is really fabulous. I also have, for Fred Dunn, once again, mentioning the 50 years, I have a letter from the president of Rotary International for Fred Dunn. Dear Fred, congratulations. And she goes on and expresses a lot of gratitude for your service above self. Active and engaged members like you help imagine Rotary in ways that can benefit all humanity. Thank you for your membership in Rotary and your dedication to community service as part of the Rotary family. Warmest regards, Jennifer Jones. So congratulations. Somebody, do you want to give it to him? Thank you. Okay, well, I don't know if for those of you online, everybody in the room stood up and applauded. Okay, so we also have Roseanne Levy. Would you like to join me here at the podium as well? Roseanne and Art are officially rejoining the Bloomington Rotary Club after having been in Chicago for a bit, and Roseanne wanted to say a few words.
Oh, good. I'm so short. Okay, great. Hi, everyone. I am Roseanne Levy, and I think many of you know that Artie and I moved out for 2 years. We moved to Chicagoland the last 2 years. And when we moved to Chicagoland, because of our love for this club, we decided to seek out a Rotary in that area. Well, we went to 2 different Rotary clubs. Neither one of them compared in any way to this club, and we truly, truly missed you all. I love this club. Those of you who feel the same way that I do, please raise your hand. Well, you know what? This is something to celebrate. This club is something to celebrate. After having visited 2 other clubs that didn't hold a candle, we were so surprised. Oh, excuse me. Oh, okay. It was amazing. It was a real learning experience. There was no camaraderie. There was no community. There was no feeling of being welcomed. There was no energy, no spark. The community service was poor. The speakers, the programs, and thank God for Michael Shermis and the wonderful programs he does here. It just didn't compare. So when we came back, I feel like we moved back home. One of the first things we did, I think we were here a couple of weeks, and I said to Artie, let's go back to the Bloomington Rotary. And here we are. Many of you know, welcomed us back, know that we moved away for 2 years, and I'm telling you, this is truly feeling like home. This community has energy, has spark. There's such beautiful, beautiful things. Hi, Lynn. I can't even tell you, I look forward to coming every single week. So I thank you all because it's because of you, this is such a great Rotary. Thank you.
Thanks so much. It's so great. And by the way, they both officially joined on June 1st. So that's really, really great news. Okay, Paul Harris Fellowships. Mike.
Fred, thank you for hiring me and giving my start after I graduated from college and got out of the service in about 1976. So that wasn't quite 50 years ago, it was a long time. So also appreciate that you hired my wife because that's how I met her. So good afternoon. Good afternoon, members of Rotary and guests. That's Mike Baker. I'm up here again. Jeff Baldwin's not in the crowd, is he? Okay, that's good. That's good. That guy's rough. Simply put, Rotary uses Paul Harris Fellow recognition to recognize members of our club that have donated up to $1,000 for each Paul Harris Fellow, and then they receive a recognition pin for that. That money goes to Rotary International and does all the good things that we read about and see, including eradicating polio, women's health, sanitation, and things like that. Thank you for the members of this club that have stepped up to our match over the last few months, because we've been very successful of upping and raising money to meet our goal this year. So Let me see here. Today we have 3 of our members being recognized. Alon, it seems like you were just up here not too long ago. Winston Schindel and Tracy Jovanovic. This is definitely the first time in memory that I believe that we are recognizing a father-daughter duo in our club. I would say something about the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, but we'll get into that later when we talk about Tracy. Could you 3 please come up here? So Alon, like I said, was just up here not too long ago, but he'll be receiving his Paul Harris +2 pin, always the overachiever, and still the only flautist to ever be recognized by our club. Pretty good leader so far this year, wouldn't you agree? Now, what can you say about Winston? He's been a member since 1982. Born in Durham, Oklahoma. This will be important later. He was hired as director of the Memorial Union way back. And I think his first job was to install water and electricity. So maybe not that far back, but he was also in charge of the IU auditorium. He was a stellar student in Durham, Oklahoma. In fact, he was in the top 7 of his class. Do you remember how many people were in your class? Oh. That's pretty amazing achievement. Winston was awarded all kinds of things from the university, the Bicentennial Medal, IU Foundation, President's Medallion, and others for his service to IU. He's served our club in many positions, been on committees for many years, but one of his best acts was maybe to introduce his daughter, Tracy, to our club. Winston, this will be your Paul Harris +5 recognition today. Now, Tracy. This is Tracy's first Paul Harris Fellow recognition. Just a little bit about her. Business, Oklahoma. There's a theme there, I think. State in 1980. IU Masters of Public Administration, International Affairs from 84 to 87. And I sat next to Winston not too long ago at a PALS event, and we were talking about Tracy a little bit. Actually, I was digging to get some information. And he said, you know, she left and she went down and she started selling some appliances. She sold a lot of stuff. She sold appliances, telecommunications, phones, et cetera. Her most recent job before moving back to Bloomington was vice president, general manager, sales leads for consumer devices, Microsoft, which is, I think, is a pretty large company. So Microsoft. So really, I did some digging, and I'm not sure if this is a rumor or not, but I heard that you were involved in developing that blue screen of death on PCs that everything just shuts off, and that's it. So, like I said, it was a rumor. So currently a board member of our club, chairman or chairperson of our membership, which has skyrocketed. She's court-appointed special advocate in the past, involved the United Way and many other nonprofit organizations. Her community support has been so off the chart, so I thought of buying her an iPhone or Apple Watch. But this is interesting. Today, she does really join Bill Gates, Melinda Gates, and other notable people from Microsoft who have been awarded the Rotary Paul Harris Fellow. So you're in good company. So would you all please rise and join me today? And wait a minute, I forgot the pending, right? Okay. Let's get them right. There's that. That's Tracy. Lon. Now, join me in recognizing our friends.
Thank you, Mike Baker. Such an amazing leader of our club, past president, incredible guy. Okay, so a few quick things. I want to make sure that we're moving on for our program, but I do want to mention a few club updates. Clara Crane, do you remember Clara? She's one of our high school scholarship winners from Edgewood. She came in fourth, Herald Times. She came in fourth in the 3,200 meter race at the SAA final, which is the state finals high school, with a career best of 10 minutes, 33 seconds, 0.73. Amazing. She says she's finally happy to be healthy again, healthy this whole season and faster than I was 2 years ago. Congratulations. Okay, living room conversations. We mentioned this and you got an email about it. I'm going to zip through this as well. You'll get more information as well. But I'm going to be leading a discussion with 6 lucky people on immigration. Charlotte has stepped up to the plate. She's going to be leading a conversation on women, leadership, and power. Tracy Jovanovic is going to be leading a conversation on race. And Joy Harder is going to be leading a conversation on respect, all happening this month. And so we'll send you information about that. I look forward to seeing how that all goes. We have our spring celebration coming up next week. No meeting here. Remember, no meeting during the day. We will be meeting and celebrating at the Wonder Lab between 6 and 8 next Tuesday. So far, we have about 53 people who've signed up, including 8 kids. So if you haven't signed up already, please do so and bring your friends, bring their kids, bring everybody you can think of. It's going to be a grand time. 6 to 8 p.m. next Tuesday at Wonder Lab. Mike mentioned giving to Rotary International. We have a goal of 18,000. Guess where we are? We're at $17,200, which means that we're that close to being where we want to be for the end of the year. So for any of you who want to support Ukraine or the Rotary International's efforts in Ukraine or anything else that qualifies for Rotary International giving, please go ahead and go online and give, and we can see how far we can get with that. Okay, thank you so much, everybody who's given this year. This will be the last meeting with the district governor flag. Lance Eberly, let's all stand and congratulations, Lance, for an incredible year. Yeah. Lance, you've been an outstanding governor. We're so proud of you and so thankful for everything that you've done for Rotary, especially the district this year. Absolutely amazing. So my suggestion is that after the meeting, we all gather around this flag with Lance with us, and have a picture taken so that we can celebrate before we give the flag over to Vincennes, which is the seat of the governor this next year around. So let's do that. Happy dollars. We've got about a minute and a half for happy dollars. I really would love to see 5 at least. So let's go with Greer first of all.
I will surprise no one when I'm saying I'm giving $50 for the grand opening of the Southwest Branch Library. Yay!
Anybody else with a happy dollar? Judy Witt.
I have $5. My mother yesterday turned 103. She's ambulatory and smart as a tack.
Wow, that is
That's
fantastic. Great.
And I'd like to pledge $20 again. Thank you for the opportunity to go to this year's Rotary International Conference in Melbourne, Australia. Phenomenal event for those that have had an opportunity to go. I definitely recommend also, if you have an opportunity in the future, you do so. Very powerful moment when they did recognize the Ukrainian delegation that had a very strong delegation at the international conference this year. And I also found out that time travel is possible. I did leave Sydney at 12 p.m. and I got an LAX at 10 a.m. So on the same day.
Wow.
So jet lag is a new experience anyway.
I'm glad you're not standing upside down.
Hi, I'm giving 20 happy dollars in celebration of this wonderful club.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Very much. Okay, we've got somebody over there, and then Lynn's going to be the last person in the room.
I've got $20 for Teachers Warehouse, which set a record this year for the number of teachers who came, the number of times they came, and the amount of supplies they took, which exceeded $500,000.
Whoa. So anybody online before Lynn has her say here? Anybody want to jump in and say something? Okay, I think we're good. Lynn.
I'm just happy.
Great. Well, we're happy too. We're very happy. Yeah. Thank you. And thank you, Tracy, for running around the room like that. That's great. Oh, we have one more. Oh, Mary Getzi.
Well, I'm just happy because we have such a great animal shelter and they gave me a mama with 9 kittens.
Whoa, that's incredible. That's amazing. Good. Fantastic. Thank you. Okay, Michael, introduce our guest, please.
I recently received the Monroe County United Ministry, fondly known as MCUM, new e-newsletter, and it had information about a kindergarten family readiness, a great self-sufficiency story, and an intern who assisted with Takes a Village Rotary Fair. It's clearly an example of another great nonprofit in town that's doing excellent work fighting poverty, helping those in need, and working with our young to ensure they have a better chance to do more than survive, but to thrive. A few years back, I had the opportunity to help MCUM work on vision and mission statements. They impressed me then, and they do now, maybe a bit more now, because they have an excellent executive director in Katie Broadfoot. I had the opportunity to introduce her and as a moderator for a panel for Leadership Bloomington a couple years ago. And so I know that she's a dynamic speaker. With that, Katie, come up and tell my fellow Rotarians about the good things MCUM is doing for our community.
All right, can everybody hear me okay? All right, thank you so much for having me here today. I'm always very excited when I get to get out of the office and talk to wonderful people like yourselves. Oh, I'm too close. Okay, so MCUM, I told Michael today that I was going to be presenting on the hefty title of Ending Generational Poverty and Interrupting Situational Poverty, and talking a little bit about a couple of MCUM's innovative models that we do this. Because it's, you know, it's quite an undertaking as an organization to say, yeah, we're just going to eliminate generational poverty. So let's take a look at some of the ways that we help that happen for local residents. So I will start off by telling you about MCUM's mission, which is MCUM creates lasting solutions to economic, educational, and social injustice in our community through quality services, collaboration, and innovation. Our vision is to eliminate generational poverty for the people that we serve. So when we're talking about poverty, it is a very individualized experience for people. At MCUM, people come in to one of our 2 programs, typically is their point of entry, and they're navigating a variety of challenges. Most of them are related to the dots that you see up here. And by and large, most of those are related to the very bottom tier, which are the basic needs, most urgent needs that people have to have met before they can take care of anything else. So that includes food, clothing, hygiene, housing, and utilities. So when you look at this chart here, these are all of the different areas that MCUM is currently working in. Some of these, it's a little bit cut off at the bottom, but the gray dots are the MCUM specialties. The blue dots are things that we do with our partners, so bringing in the collaboration. And then the other blue dots are things that we outsource to other people who really are more of experts in those areas. But these are all of the different things that we're working on at MCUM. And everybody that comes in is experiencing something just a little bit different. So there's really no one size fits all approach to helping a family eliminate their generational poverty. Most people know MCUM by one of our 2 main centers. So we've got our Self-Sufficiency Center as well as our Compass Early Learning Center. And we're really trying to lean heavily into generational poverty. So we're doing that by looking at 2 generational programming across both of our centers. So in our Self-Sufficiency Center, for example, our program addresses generational poverty a couple of different ways. For the adults or those who tend to be the caregivers in the generation, We offer individualized coaching, and that can be, if we go back to that chart with all of those dots, it can be in any area of their choice that they are specifically working on. We offer incentives that are the equivalent of $300 to $500 per topic that they're working on, but that are directly tied to something that they're working on. And I will talk a little bit more about this in a second here when we get into some of those innovative models. But for example, we're working on a transportation module right now where if people participate and as they meet their goals along the way, we're putting money away that's matched in a savings account. So at the end of their module, they actually earn both the skills to make sure that they will have reliable transportation. They'll know about things like preventative maintenance, things like that, but they'll also walk away with a pretty large either down payment or complete payment to purchase a reliable vehicle. And then we also look at areas where we're really helping people improve things like family stability, their well-being, finances, education, unemployment, and then of course, basic needs assistance. Now, for the children or generation 2 in those households, by providing basic needs, we are doing things like reducing hunger, which is an immediate improvement for those kids. Also, the success of the caregiving generation usually translates into stability for the whole family, including the children. So to switch gears a little bit, the Compass Early Learning Center currently offers high quality licensed early learning for children ages 1 through 5 years old in Bloomington. We're about to open our 6th classroom, specifically geared towards 1-year-olds. But we're the only center in the county that offers our own sliding fee scale. And that's really important. And I'm very passionate about talking about this piece of it because when it comes to childcare or early learning options in Monroe County, there are not very many to begin with. In fact, only 1 out of every 4 children from birth to 5 has a spot in a safe, licensed, high quality center. But it becomes even more complicated when you look at children who come from families that make just enough income that they don't qualify for the federal and state assistance programs, which would be like vouchers, but not quite enough money to hit true self-sufficiency for the county. So what our sliding fee scale does is it takes those families and it scales what their weekly tuition is based on their family size and their income so that it's capped at no more than 10% of the household's income, putting high quality, affordable childcare within the reach of families that would otherwise be pushed out altogether. So this removes a major barrier to the careers or the educational pursuits of the parents. So one of the requirements of Compass families is that the caregiving generation is either working full-time or in school full-time or a combination thereof. So these tend to be that niche of families that fall into that demographic. We call them cliff effect families, right? So they're the families that, again, make too much. They come in just above where the social safety net cuts out, but not enough to be self-sufficient. We also really look at family connections and making sure that parents and caregivers, which also includes fosters and adoptions, have the resources they need to take care of the whole child. So what happens, what does the child's life look like after they leave our center? So for the children, in addition to providing the high quality early learning, we offer 75% of all of their nutrition needs, well-being needs, developmental skills, and then our top one, which is kindergarten readiness. So we know that whether a child is ready for their first day of kindergarten is one of the biggest indicators of the trajectory of the rest of their lives, believe it or not. So looking at all of that and taking all of that into consideration, I often feel a lot like this person here, like, yeah, how are we gonna balance all of that and turn it into something and actually help people, make their lives a little bit better? So first step, we interrupt situational poverty by giving basic needs. So like I said, providing basic needs creates an immediate and a measurable improvement to a person or family situation, and it enables them to pursue improved stability. So we have our own food pantry. We offer up to a 3-day supply. We're working on new partnerships right now with the People's Market, where we're also now offering dairy, eggs, meat, and produce twice a week. Clothing, our biggest partner is the Opportunity House, which is just down the street from us. And we now provide these Opportunity Essentials cards which basically are store credit, so the family can use them however they need to make sure that everybody in their household has the appropriate clothing that they need for work and for life. Hygiene, housing, and utilities as well. So housing and utilities, we really work a lot with our partner organizations to cover the bulk of that, but we do offer financial assistance to help people who are behind on their bills. Okay, step 2. We improve situational poverty by building stability for the caregiving generation. So once your basic needs are met, you need to build up a little bit of stability so that then you can move on to the next thing here. So the caregiving generation, if they have the means for self and family members to be safe and stable, and those would include things like adequate health, affordable childcare, accessible transportation, and having a steady income, then they will begin to develop readiness to pursue self-sufficiency. So health, the bluish purple dots are on the outside. I want to highlight one of our biggest health partners, which is Catholic Charities Bloomington. So we have embedded in our Compass Early Learning Center mental health therapists that provide on-site free of charge therapy services for the children in our care. And we're looking to expand those partnerships in the coming year with things like occupational therapy, speech therapy, and other kinds of integrated therapies that will really make sure that children have what they need to not only be okay, but to thrive. Childcare, development, and early learning. Obviously, we do that in-house through our Compass Early Learning Center. Transportation is another one. We've just launched something called the Opportunity Fund, which will help people fund preventative and routine maintenance for reliable vehicles, and then also looking at creating matched savings accounts for people to purchase reliable vehicles, as well as partnerships with Uber, who offers a voucher program to people who are traveling within the county to get to work, the grocery store, things like that. And then income job security is where our Your Path program really starts to come into play, which I'm going to segue right into. So, final step is to break the cycle of generational poverty by helping families create a self-sustaining safety net. So I'm going to actually work from career development and higher education over. So all of those orange dots fall into our Your Path program. And Your Path is a segue off of our Self-Sufficiency Center, which is an opt-in program where clients will choose to work with one of our coaches for 2 to 3 months to 2 to 3 years, really depending on what they want to work on. They will come in with a very specific goal, and it will either be related to savings and asset development or career and higher education so that they can build that self-sustaining safety net. Under those categories come the other dots that we talked about earlier. So transportation, health and well-being, things like that. They're always working on that sort of thing. But when they work with a coach, they take an assessment at the beginning, an assessment halfway through, and then one at the end. And between each meeting, they are setting goals. So for example, if somebody's goal is to pursue a higher education so they can fall into a higher paying career, their first step in between meetings might be to make a list of different options that they have and where they want to apply. For a lot of the people that we work with, they have never explored the potential for more out there. And so creating these relationships is really what keeps them coming back, keeps them motivated, and keeps moving them up the ladder. And community connection is really the gear that drives the whole thing because there is a lot going on here. MCUM does not, in and of itself, do all things for all people. Nobody can do that. We can't do anything without our community connections and relying on the other great agencies and resources that this town has to offer as well. These are the different Your Path modules that we have in motion right now. I won't read all of these, but how the modules work is if a client has an interest in improving something, like the one that we've got going on right now is family kindergarten readiness. They'll come in, they're usually short, 2 to 3 months. They'll have very specific goals. In between, they'll earn incentives, and then they will have a market improvement in that category. So the biggest question that we get asked is how are we recruiting people who are actually ready to work on self-sufficiency without excluding those who need basic needs? And there's 2 things that we're really working on right now, so I will share those with you all. The first example is leveraging an existing program as a gateway to mobility. So our basic needs services are kind of the foundation of MCUM. They've been here for a long time. A lot of people know about them. A lot of people use them and enjoy those services. They're a very important part of what we do. And as I mentioned, without basic needs, you really can't expect to accomplish anything else. So as our baseline, we have our food pantry. It's open to anyone who would like to use it. They can use it monthly. But the next step up is if you're a currently enrolled Compass family, you can order every other week, and you can also order online for pickup right from your child's school. So you don't have to take any extra steps to do that. Now, if you are an actively participating Your Path family working on a goal in one of those other areas, you can also come in every other week. And if you're working on building an asset, so if you're in our IDA program, which is a state offered program where a client will be setting a goal to save a certain amount of money for an asset and then the state will match it, then you can come in every week. But an agreement is that part of the money that you're saving on groceries goes into that IDA account. And what that does is it accomplishes a couple of things. So it makes sure that people aren't seeing an interruption in their basic needs in order to take care of something else. Because for a lot of the people, again, it's that whole stability thing. If they don't have their basic needs met, they're having to make sacrifices, and we don't want people to have to make those choices. Everyone needs food. So here we're giving them food, we're giving them what they need every week, but the money that they're saving is making sure that they achieve that asset building goal that they have. That's one example. Our other example is something we just launched this past year, which is a scholarship program for our Compass fee scale families. And a lot of people, probably myself included, would argue that our sliding fee scale in and of itself is financial assistance. But for a lot of families, they want to be doing more than just being stable. They want to be obtaining assets and working on building that self-sustaining safety net. So we have 3 tiered levels that you can see there of scholarships that we offer exclusively for families that fall in those income categories of being low income, but not quite to the self-sufficiency standard, where we will pay for the bulk of their childcare tuition every week. But at each level, there are different requirements. So the money that they're saving, again, for that top tier is going into their asset account so that we're making sure that their child has what they need. The family is still saving money, but they're also saving more money to rely on later for something that's more than just putting a Band-Aid on it. It's solving the problem for folks. That was a lot in a very short amount of time, and I realized that it's very difficult to condense MCUM or poverty or anything like that into a short amount. So I wanted to leave a couple of minutes just for questions, because this could really go any direction that you all would like it to, if we have time. And if not, that's okay too. But yes, I saw your hand first.
How do you receive most of your funding?
That's a great question. We receive most of our funding through private donations. So individuals in town. We also work with organizations like United Way, the Community Foundation, and then big grants as well.
How do you measure your long-term success, and how are you doing?
That's a great question. So that is something that we are constantly exploring, what the best way to do. And to be honest, MCUM has evolved so much just in the 10 years that I've been with the agency, and we have not always been this forward-thinking long-term impact. It's mostly been outcomes, so measured in terms of how much food we solve, how much money we give to people. But we've started tracking the longevity of what happens for the kids that leave our childcare program. We're starting an alumni group now where we're checking in with them each year. So we launched this past year and checked in with the children who went off to kindergarten to see how they're doing. We had about a 70% response rate to that, which is, pretty good. But 100% of them, 100% of the parents said that they felt their children were doing well in school, which is a really great outcome for that. The longer term impact will take a few years to develop. Oh, is there anybody online with questions?
How do you acquire the cars, the vehicles?
Oh, the vehicles. So most of right now, what we're doing is people who are saving money to purchase a vehicle are responsible for finding their own. But we are working on active partnerships with local maintenance companies that will sort of provide like a checkup on the vehicles to make sure that they're reliable for them.
That was actually my question, but I wondered if there are dealerships in town that can be partners with you.
That's a fabulous idea. Yes, we're exploring that.
Really, generally, I'm concerned about partnerships with other agencies.
About partnerships with other agencies?
Yes,
Sure. So
thank you.
yeah, because MCUM services are awfully specialized to the individual receiving them, therefore a lot of our partnerships are also pretty specialized. By and large, right now, the bulk of what we do, we work very closely with places like the Bloomington Township Trustees offices. We work closely with SCAP, Bloomington Housing Authority as well, Habitat for Humanity. A lot of our people have kind of just enough stability that when they're receiving basic needs services from MCUM, they often need just kind of the little step up from that. So we'll work with other agencies to pull together funding to try to cover a complete bill instead of just giving people a couple of $100s, which really doesn't solve that problem for them. And then Opportunity House, of course, is a big partner as well. And really our partnerships just work as relationships where we have the good understanding that we can just pick up the phone and say, you know what, this is the situation. It doesn't really fit this typical trajectory. Is there any way we can work together? That's how the Catholic Charities relationship with having one of their therapists in our program started.
Yes, I wondered if you could talk a little bit about the impact numbers, maybe the number you're serving, how many people may be on waiting lists for whatever services, and maybe what your capacity may be and how you might intend to address those waiting.
Sure. So as far as capacity for your path, which is the true self-sufficiency program, we can work with up to 20 people at one time in that Your Path program. And that's because we have 2 full-time coaches that exclusively work with Your Path. We also have 1 direct services coach who works with the basic needs. And in that program, they tend to see about 6,500 unduplicated households per year that are just coming in for basic needs assistance. In the Compass Early Learning Center, right now, we have the capacity to serve 84 children. We're opening our 6th classroom in January, and that will increase that to 94 children. Unfortunately, or fortunately, well, really unfortunately, our waiting list for the Compass program is high enough right now to fill the classroom 3 times over.
Thank you so much for the work you do. MCUM's really a fine organization, and you clearly have brought new energy and new insight to it. I'm impressed that in our community and in most communities in this country, we like wearing the white hats. We like being the heroes that provide the resources, frankly, that maybe the state government should be providing, for instance, for Compass education for young children. And I was impressed with your chart that showed the movement up for people that you serve. I kept wanting to see a chart over here that would show the movement up for our community as we understood more and more clearly that people have assets. They're not just needy. Folks like Mauricio Miller in the book, The Alternative, suggests that what we believe about poverty is wrong in part because we're so locked into the need to be the hero. And I'm wondering if we couldn't develop some steps on the other side to help this community and other communities call on state government and federal government to do more so that we don't have to face the dilemmas you face and can begin to grow up ourselves away from the paternalism that so shapes who we are.
I think that's great. I would love to see something like that happen.
Are you familiar with the Miller book?
I'm not.
I'll get you a
Okay,
copy. Yeah.
wonderful. Thank
yeah.
you.
There are a number of resources like that, but we're sort of locked into this perpetual, we're the good guys and we're going to fix it.
Thank you so much for all the work that you do. I just want to commend MCUM. A lot of people don't realize the cost of in-state tuition for Indiana University is $11,560. I just checked it on the web. It's very accessible. IU does a great job of giving that information out. A lot of people don't realize that that is roughly the cost of early childhood care, particularly for very small children, infants, 1-year-olds, 2-year-olds, very expensive. Think about how many ways there are to pay for college. If you've helped someone go to college or you've paid for college yourself, there are many ways to pay for college. There are not many ways to pay for childcare. So I just want to thank you for being one of the solutions in our community to help make it affordable for families.
That's where I guess I'll kind of close with a note that I think one of the biggest ways that people can make a difference is to think about that and invest in early childhood education, but do your research and invest in high quality, demand high quality, because she's right. There are not options. If you fall income wise just above that social safety net, but you don't make the self-sufficiency standard, you don't have a choice of what you are going to pay or where you might be able to go for your care options. And as a parent of 2 very young children in care myself, I've had one of my children who isn't old enough to go to MCUM yet, was at a lesser quality center in town, and quality matters. It matters so much. And it really matters. Please invest in it. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Katie. Thank you so much, Katie. That was just absolutely fabulous for everything that you do. And Phil, I want to appreciate what you just said as well. You know, in a grand sense, what we do as organizations is we care so much for our communities to believe that our solutions are the ones that we want to apply to the world that we live in. It makes us feel satisfied that we can do that. And over the last 3-4 years, I've been involved in the rural engagement activities with Jacob School of Music and the Center for Rural Engagement. And there is this philosophy of asset-based community development, which is to sort of reverse that relationship as much as possible and to understand that anybody receiving these incredible gifts and support and mentoring from MCUM have incredible powers themselves. They have resources, they have knowledge, they have wisdom, they have skills, and those should be taken into account as we find solutions for our society. So I just want to thank you so much, Phil. A few other things. I jumped over the acknowledgements, and I don't want to jump over this because Judy Schroeder is going to be doing our reporting for the month. And Judy is a real gem in our club. And thank you so much for everything that you do. Yeah, so thank you, Judy. Yeah. And once again, Greer, thank you so much for your words. Joy Online. Michael Shermus, no, it was actually Tracy today running around and helping us with the video as well. Tyler, we're meeting next week, Tuesday, you know where we're gonna meet. And right, Wonderlab, you've all got it, exactly, thank you very much. And I also mentioned, Katie, that, and thanks for your presence today. We support HealthNet as our quarterly social service agency that we give money to at the end of this quarter. So thank you in honor of your presence with us. Remember, now we're going to take a picture. So I'm going to, should I close? I'll close the meeting and then we can do the picture. So let's all rise and follow me in the 4-way test or join me. Excuse me. I'm going to do I'll do a ding before each of them. How about that? Okay. Of the things we think, say, or truth, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? Is it fun? Thank you all so much. We'll take our picture now. Thank you.